Good day to you. Today I'm going to be recording my video about doing a movie. I haven't done a movie review last week because I was gone, but I wanted to get one in this week. And so I'm going to be talking about the Predator franchise. And I'm going to be straight up. This is more of a fun podcast. I don't know if I have anything really theological too deep to dig in with this. I'm sure there's probably something there. I just haven't thought of it. But I wanted to do the Predator franchise because Predator Badlands came out in theaters last week. Uh, and I would like to. And I thought it was a pretty good movie. I thought it was very entertaining. And so I thought this would give me a good reason to talk about the Predator movies. Um, Next week I'll probably have a more in-depth movie. I'm thinking I might do. I'm actually thinking about doing K-pop. I'll come back to that. I'll talk about what I'm going to do next week. But right now, let's just talk about Predator. The Predator franchise. So I watched Predator Badlands in theaters, and I enjoyed it. And I saw a lot of people on the internet complaining and ranting about how bad the movie was. It was woke. Um, it's too much like Disney and all that stuff. And I heard so much about that. And so I decided to actually binge watch. I was on vacation, so I had time. So, like at night, I would watch each of the Predator movies. One, two, Alien versus Predators, the two Alien versus Predator movies, and then the two more, and then the rest of the Predator movies. And I watched them all. I actually watched them chronological order instead of the order that came out, just to kind of see how it's told. I don't think it's actually a good way to watch. Just watch. If I'd recommend if you're going to watch it, just watch in the order that came out. I don't think there's really much to take from the way I watched it. But still, that's what I did. And so I'm going to tell you what my thoughts are on all of the movies. So I'm going to usually I have Tracked as my background because I like their images and everything. But I'm actually going to use Letterboxd here. And the reason I'm going to use Letterboxd is because I have my ranking of the films. And so you can see them all scattered right there. And I'm going to kind of talk about every single one of the movies and explain where my thoughts are in relationship to each of these films. So, the first Predator movie came out in 1984. Or 1987. And before I get to that, I actually got to make note. One thing I've observed with the Predator movies as I've been watching them is every single Predator movie dives into a certain genre of film, I find. Um, they they use a genre of film and they basically throw a Predator into the mix. And so, like for Predator 1987, it very much has the Rambo vibe. It takes place in the jungle. You get the muscular action film actor, and you have all that type of stuff. And so it's very much into that genre, that vibe. And this first movie it is still the best of the Predators. I love the action. I do the characters. You like all of them. You like Jesse Ventura. I don't have time to bleed. He says that, and Carl Weathers is in there. You like there's a lot of these characters you like, and I know people complain about the humor in Avengers Badlands, but Avengers Badlands, Predator Badlands. People complain about the humor, but there's some humor moments in Predator, the original one. I think from what I was watching, I think most of the movies had some elements of humor. There's a few exceptions to that, but I still think this is the best of them. It there's hardly any point that you could point to that was just really, really flawed. I mean, it's obviously a little bit limited by the technology it had, or the special effects that was available to it, but still did really well. I love that movie. It's a good movie. It's a good movie to watch every now and then. All right. Next up is Prey. Prey came out in 2022. So again, talk about what genre are we dealing with? Probably say you're dealing with kind of like a Last of the Mohicans, Dances with Wolves type thing. So a movie talk about Pocahontas even a little bit, I guess. Just Native American era, during the time of colonial expansion, the tensions between the Native Americans and the people who are migrating to the new world or whatever. And basically, it's that type of world. And again, they plop a predator into it. And again, I like this. It worked. I kind of liked. It really stressed the one of the features that you see consistent with the predator is the predator will not attack people who are it perceives as weak, as they don't have weapon. If they're chained up or whatever, he won't attack them. They're very, very principled. They have very strong ethic as to who they attack, who they kill. And this played out, and this actually ends up playing to the advantage of the main characters. It's actually part of the reason why she survives. People like, well, I can't believe that this little girl could survive. And like, the movie puts all the pieces in place for you to understand why she survived. It's because the predator kept underestimating her. He let her go when at times, and there's different ways that she got creative, and she used his pride or his code against him to gain the victory. Killer of Killers. This is I'd say probably the best thing would be a gladiator type thing, except for it's unlike Predator and Prey, which is kind of our era films of this earth. Killer of Killers, it does at times. I mean, you have the Seven Samurai type story. You got Vikings era stories. You got World War II fighter pilot stories. But in the end, it ends up being a bit more of a intergalactic gladiator. And again, I like it. I like what they did. It's really expanding the world and begins to get you thinking about why do they do what they do? Why do they keep sending these hunters to Earth to do the things that they do? Predators, I was really surprised that how much I liked this. First off, Adrian Brody was one of the main actors, and the whole movie I couldn't help but think like, did they want Hugh Jackman for this role and they just could not convince Hugh Jackman to do it? Because man, he felt so much like Hugh Jackman. Still, I liked what his character was. Again, solid cast. I did like that plot. So this was kind of I don't think Hunger Games was out yet. Maybe the books were, but it did very much give off a Hunger Games, or Running Man, or the Labyrinth from Greek mythology vibe. Bunch of killers thrown into basically a maze and to see what they do to survive. Predator Badlands. This one would be a little bit Star Trek-y. Because a lot of Star Trek is about exploring different worlds and things like that. And it also has a little bit of the MonsterVerse because you get thrown into this planet with all these different strange creatures, strange environment. And have you seen like Kong Skull Island or King Kong versus Godzilla, those movies where you explore the underworld where King Kong comes from? Uh, it's kind of that same vibe where you're experiencing this interesting world. I know a lot of people online have been claiming it feels too Disney, feels like a Marvel movie or like a Guardians of the Galaxy, and I just don't see it. They talk about the android, and I'm like, well, the android, it honestly kind of gives me. I mean, it's supposed to be somewhat feminine, which makes sense because it's a female android. But honestly, it gives me more of a vibes of like Data from Star Trek or something like that. That type of a character. The tone, the lighting, the coloring, it just feels more Star Trekky to me than anything Disney does. People talk about the little cute little companion that they gain. That's been done in so many movies, not just Disney. Especially actually on TV shows or if you play any video games. And honestly, a lot of ways, Predators, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but in many ways, Predators Badlands reminds me of a lot of video games. Especially something like Mass Effect or something like that. Predator 2, it's really interesting in recent days. Is Predators Badlands has come out, Prey has come out. People, for some reason, have this real vendetta against Prey and Predator Badlands, and they just insisted on destroying it or whatever. And they're talking like Predator 2 was so good, and I'm like, nobody thought that when it came out. Where did this sudden love for this movie come from? And I watch it, so talk about genres. It reminds me of Die Hard to some degree, but very much Lethal Weapon, and maybe a little bit of RoboCop. But even more, it reminds me of Last Action Hero. Last Action Hero is pretty much a parody of the cop movies or the action movies of the 80s. And Predator 2 a lot of times feels like a parody. And it's not meant to be because some of it's so cheesy. And to talk about bad jokes and humor, it's all over Predator 2. It happens a few times in Predator 2. You know? And people are like, there shouldn't be humor. The only good Predators are Predator 1 and Predator 2. I don't like all this humor in these movies. I'm like, did you watch Predator 2? Did you see the whole scene where there's this one scene towards the end of the movie where the Predator comes out of this bathroom and Danny Glover comes out and he's like, "Hold on, I'm the police." And she just goes, "I don't think he gives a beep." It's like, that's that humor that you complain about. It's like that Predator 2 supposedly didn't have. It's right there. It happened. I think there's something else going on that you're all griping about this. But I mean, it's still got its moments, but a lot of it is just really kind of cheesy. AVP, Alien vs. Predator Requiem. I watched that one for the first time through this watch through. And I watched this movie and conceptually, I think it pretty kind of squares with a lot of teen horror films of the late 90s, early 2000s. And conceptually, I think it had some really good ideas going. The problem was I know a lot of people talk about the lighting. I've got a OLED television. And actually, the lighting is not that bad on the OLED. But I could see if I had an LED, or if I had, or even in theaters, it probably might have looked way too dark to the point you didn't know what was going on. Um, there's just a lot of poor execution. There's this teen romance drama that they just doesn't go anywhere. I'm like, what's the point of this? Um, and it's just really the writing, the execution. It just fell flat. I love the idea, you know, this run of the mill small town, and an alien and a predator gets plopped down into your town, and all hell breaks loose. I mean, this is a cool concept, good idea, good story. Give us some characters, the characters of this town, to really care and connect with it, and it just fell so flat on almost every level. Too many characters, too many people focusing on, and it just didn't work. Good idea, just did not execute it. AVP, and that's why I put it above the first AVP. It's because I love the idea. I had low expectations going into it, so that's why I'm probably not as angry. If I had real expectations, I might have been upset, but I had no expectations for it. AVP, Alien versus Predator, the first one. I mean, it's not bad. It's not good. It's just meh, whatever. It just felt empty, hollow. So again, movies and probably square. What genre would it go with? Mummy, Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider, that type. It's kind of explorers finding this temple or ancient place of worship that ancient cultures used and tripping on something really major. That kind of old fashioned story. um, and then the final one was The Predator, and I just couldn't get into this one. I watched it, and maybe it's because it's the last one I watched, and maybe I got tired from watching them, all of them, which that might be true, accurate. But there was too much. This one, I will agree, humor was too much. It's. I mean, I thought the really big predator looked kind of cool. They brought in the predator dogs, which seemed weird. It's just that's what just didn't work for me at all. And I don't know if I can even. I don't know if there's anything I really thought. I mean, there's a few things here and there where, yeah. They kind of the whole thing with the kid getting the mask. I mean, how did they kind of glossed over the fact that he left that in the middle of the street on trick or treating night? I'm like, are they gonna go look for this to make sure some other little kid doesn't pick it up? Because we just saw what happens when some dude chucked a piece of candy at the kid. This big gun came up and blasted and killed the dude. And I'm like, and by the way, the fact that the kid was unfazed by the fact that he just killed someone. I mean, he was a little bit phased, but not much. But just leave it on the street. Kind of a big. I don't know if plot hole's the word, but a missed plot point. So, all right, there you go. This is just kind of a fun one, I know. And we're done with Halloween. You'd think I'd stop doing Halloween things. But my plan is next week I'm going to do a review of an analysis of the movie K-pop Demon Hunters and discuss it. I think it will. I watched it on recommendation from another pastor, and I think this one's got some good themes, good ideas. This one, as you notice, I didn't really do much thematic. I'm sure there's stuff there. I just didn't really. I was just kind of seeing if I liked the movie or not. This is just kind of a fun review. Um, but K-pop, there's some really good stuff to talk in there. Um, the week after, I'll probably Thanksgiving week. I think I might. The movie video will not release on Friday as normal. Probably release um, on Thanksgiving Eve. So I'll have two videos come out that Wednesday. I think. Oh, I might not even have a. May not do catechism. I may not do Wednesday catechesis that week. But I will probably do the movie on that Wednesday, and I'll do Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because that's the best Thanksgiving movie that there's ever been. And I am hosting a special showing of the movie here in Ida Grove, and I'd love people if people would like to watch it before they go see the movie. Hopefully, it'll help them. But and by the way, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is one of my favorite movies of all time. So that's kind of looking forward. I don't know what I'm going to do in December. I'm sure I'll do a Christmas movie or two. Beyond that, I don't know. Maybe I might. I'm thinking what I'll do is because I think there's 4 Fridays. There'll be 4 Fridays in December, and so I'll probably the first two. So I might do like The Hobbit for week one, like the first Hobbit movie for the first week. The second week, I might, I don't know, Harry Potter, maybe a Star Wars film, something like that. And then the last two will be Christmas movies. So, I hope this is entertaining. If I hope you're interested in this. And I'm not all about horror films, scary movies, and I know Predator falls into that, but Predator is also a bit of action. Yes, it's bloody, it's gore and everything. Um, people wonder, is this dangerous to watch these type of movies? I think it can be, and it can mess with your mind sometimes, and be aware of that. But a lot of it, it's just this is the whole idea of these videos. Why do I, as a pastor, talk about movies? Is some of it's fun. It's okay for us to enjoy things. But also it's a little bit of discernment. When you're watching a movie like Predator, keep a grip on reality, Um, have a grip on reality and you won't have as many of these you're not going to have the issues as much. So, anyways, there's my review, my analysis. You may like it, you might not like it, whatever. Have a great weekend. Make sure you go to worship, hear God's word, and feel free to watch a good movie here or there. Blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.